Welcome to Juniper's Tarot and Astrology, and a little bit of magic. I'm here to remind you that you are all magical, and you are especially magical to me. Please be advised, any suspects or names that we may mention on my channel are always given the presumption of innocence, always. We can have opinions about a case, but opinions are not fact. We are going to be looking at the Skelton Brothers case. They have been missing since 2010. This is a heartbreaking case. There's a lot of confusion to it with their father. John Skelton was the last person who was with them. He was the one that was responsible for them. And he said that he gave them away because of issues that they had in the marriage, and that he felt that the mother was abusing them. There has not been any evidence found of the mother abusing her 3 sons. Now, she does have a record of doing something inappropriate with a 14 or 15-year-old. I'm not sure. That is on her record. That is public knowledge. But there is no evidence that she was abusing the boys. Nothing has come forward. I believe that was somewhat investigated as well. Now, he did marry her. He decided to have children with her. He has a daughter. I'm not going to mention her name because I'm not going to blow her up on YouTube. But they had 3 children together, okay? And nothing was ever brought up about something that is in her past. Seems to only have been a problem when she wanted a divorce, that he brought that up and felt that she was being inappropriate with the boys. So he felt the need to protect them and give them away. He has never come forward with the names of the people that he gave them away. He gave a Joanne Taylor name. Every story that John Skelton has given has turned up with nothing. He said that he gave them to an Amish family. He said that he gave them to an Amish farm, that he put them in with a protection agency, that they came in a van and they took off with the boys. Again, there's no evidence of this. They have thoroughly searched the computer, his cell phone, and things of that nature. The mother's phones have been searched as well. All of her information has been searched as well. And, she's not been arrested or held accountable for any of this. So he is serving a 10 to 15 year sentence, and he's not even serving the sentence for unaliving his own children. It's for unlawful imprisonment of his own children, because he's refusing to give their whereabouts. He's refusing to give the details of who has them. And there was there might still actually be a $60,000 reward for these boys. Now, please remember, this case is a cold case. It happened in 2010. I tried to research it on the internet if the reward is still active. It was active in 2016. And the boys went missing in 2010. So this is the number that you can call. Don't quote me 100% if the reward fund is still active, but please keep in mind, I want to just kind of bring it home to you that there was a $60,000 reward that was active for 6 years. It might still even be active today. And that nobody came forward. No one came forward with the boys. The name that he gave panned out to be nothing. The Amish people in that area were searched, investigated, questioned. $60,000 would help an Amish family out tremendously, okay? They are very protective of children. Of course they are. We all are. Most, anyone that's normal has pulls on our heartstrings when it comes to children. But just because they're Amish or Mennonites, they still get the newspaper. They still have access to the internet. Even in 2010, they still did. And I just watched a news clip of, I think it was just a couple years ago, they went back to the couple of the Amish farms and talked to them, and they had the newspaper sitting right there. So, I mean, they are aware of the outside world. I just want to make that very clear. And, someone that's a very tight community. The Amish community is extremely tight and close community. Somebody would notice if 3 kids just happen to pop up and you see them out there working on the farm. I would find it very difficult for them to hide them for this long. So everything that John Skelton has said has not panned out. What's even more suspicious is that when he gets back to the house, after he turns his cell phone off, first of all, he drives away from the home the next morning when the mother is supposed to pick them up that day after Thanksgiving. He goes out, he drives away, his phone is pinging in all these areas that the mother said they had fond memories, and some of the areas that his phone pinged were areas that they enjoyed together as a family, right? So let's remember, John Skelton, he's a truck driver. He lost his job for an alcohol-related incident, and he got laid off. I'm not sure if he got a full-blown DUI, but he lost his job as a trucker because he got caught drinking. The wife says that he was withdrawn. He was drinking more. And once he lost his job, all he did was want to sit home and play video games, right? And they separated. He wanted to move to Florida and get a fresh start so that alcohol thing wouldn't show up, I guess, on his record. And he wanted to go to Florida and start over. She did not want to go to Florida. Then there's a day that he takes the kids out of school, and he says that he's taking them to Florida. She does eventually get full custody of the kids back, and she's trying to better herself. She's working. She's taking a class to better herself, and she gives him visitation around Thanksgiving, and this is when they go missing. So he pulled a similar stunt earlier when he took them out of school and disappeared, and then she had to fight to get custody back. So this that's why I'm going to pull a couple of asteroids. I'm going to pull Vesta. I'm going to pull Ceres, because this all shows custody issues. Juno is issues with relationships, possibly could show us if something's up with the relationship. I'm also going to do some other asteroids as well that have to do with fathers that hurt their own children. Hercules is one. I'm going to see where Hercules shows up. And there's another asteroid that I'm going to pull as well out of curiosity, just to see where these, ancient Greek mythology stories play out in our crime charts. And it's crazy, but they do kind of connect. Even on your natal chart, if you pull an asteroid or you see something in the fixed stars that has a Greek mythology story connected to it, you might actually find that your own personal natal chart, it matches something in that ancient mythology story. Hercules was, basically manipulated, and he believed in something, and that's kind of what I'm seeing in the astrology, is that John believed in something about Venus, okay, about the wife. He believed in something. I don't think that Venus was doing anything bad to the kids. That's not really showing up, but it's showing that there's something about a delusion with him, with Venus. So I am going to pull, I'm just going to pull a couple of Greek mythology asteroids that, might give us a clue. I'm also going to pull up John, and there's, I found a Johnny and a John. So I'll pull them as well to see where the name placement asteroids fall in the astrology as well. The last thing that makes me extremely suspicious of John on an astrological level and just as my own personal opinion, even though the mother in her younger years had that one incident happen to her, which is not good. I don't condone that at all, whatever happened with the mother. It seems like it happened in possibly her younger years. And, she's not ever hidden that from the general public. I mean, she never denied it, and she took accountability for it. And I'm not excusing her behavior, not at all. But it seems like she said that she was trying to turn her life around. She wanted to have children her whole life. She wanted to be a mother. So the thing that makes me more suspicious towards John, instead of the mother doing horrible things to the children, which made John make them disappear like this and then not tell us where they are, or not do it the right way. Most people who think that their spouse or their wife or their husband is sexually molesting their children, they immediately get custody of them and they try to prove that in court. They don't do this underground system, right? And the ones that usually do this underground system, there's usually some manipulation and control issues there. And I feel like he was losing everything. He lost his job. They filed bankruptcy. They were losing everything. And after he drove off and turned his cell phone off and, hits all these locations that have fond memories for her and her husband and them as a family, and then he goes off radar, you can't trace him because his phone is turned off or his phone died. I think he turned it off personally. And then the phone comes back on, and then he packs up his stuff, all his personal belongings, gives it to his family member, starts giving his stuff away, his personal stuff away, writes a letter or note on Facebook saying something along the lines of, "I'm sorry for what I've done," or I don't quote me exactly. He wrote like an encrypted message on Facebook saying, "Sorry for what I've done. I love my wife. I love my children. Sorry for may God forgive me for what I've done." Then he proceeds to trash the house. Anything that, he trashed the couches. He trashed the tables. He took a sledgehammer to things. He actually ripped cabinets off of the walls, broke every dish, broke every knickknack that belonged to his wife. She had collected like a curio cabinet and had all these special little things in the curio cabinet. He smashed it to smithereens. There wasn't anything recognizable or anything that was salvageable for that home, okay? He destroyed everything. You couldn't even recognize that there was a sofa there. That's how much he destroyed it. Destroyed the beds, destroyed the dressers, destroyed the cabinets, destroyed tables, chairs, appliances, ripped everything to shreds. Anything that had a cord, he cut it up. Anything that was plugged in, he unplugged it and cut it up. So he went back home without his children, and then he trashes the house, gives his personal items away, leaves this weird Facebook message. Then he tries to unalive himself, and he tries to hang himself off of the stairway banister, and it broke, or I'm not sure if it's the stair banister broke or that the rope broke, but then he ended up twisting his ankle or spraining his ankle or breaking his ankle with that fall. He hobbles himself into the hospital, and proceeds to tell them that, he tried to unalive himself. So they keep him on a unalive watch to make sure that he doesn't unalive himself. And, the wife goes to go pick up the boys. They're not there. Then she finds out that he's in the hospital without the children. And this is where the whole story comes, where he's like, I'm not telling you where the kids are. You're not ever getting the kids back. And I gave them away. And, oh, by the way, I trashed the house. You can't get nothing. Like, it just seems like he was bitter because of the divorce, bitter because of child support, bitter because she got custody back, and instead of just, if he really truly believed that she was molesting those boys, that's when you hire a lawyer, you go to DFS, CPS, we call it CPS here in Delaware, but you go and you file a complaint, you walk your ass down to the police station, and you go down there every single day until they deal with it, right? Now, she had never had any child protective services filed on her. The teachers all loved her. She seemed like a very loving mother. Teachers came forward and spoke on her defense and didn't speak very highly of him. So, again, the mother does have a record, all right? But it seems like, there wasn't any signs of abuse. It's just his delusions. And if there was signs of abuse, is this the way that a father would handle it? Wouldn't he want to give his children over to his own mother or his sister or his father or someone in his own family instead of throwing his whole life in jail? And again, we had that $60,000 reward and nobody came forward. And everything that he told us turned out to be a lie. So this is why I lean more so towards there's foul play involved with John. Now, of course, he is given the presumption of innocence. This is just my own opinion. I think that the kids get in trouble around dinner time when they're supposed to be probably having Thanksgiving dinner. I think that this is when the charts are showing me at 6 o'clock the day before, okay? That I think the kids are in trouble and that he just loses his shit. Because if you look at the chart, I have Mars going up to Jupiter, and that is just pure rage, over the top, someone blowing their top, someone losing it, right? That's just anger and rage. And this is when he's supposed to be having this, when he tells the police that they're having a joyous Thanksgiving meal. And then they watched a movie and they watched a karate movie, and he tells the police this long drawn out detailed things of what they did. And, now that we know Peter Hyatt, we know that a lot of times when parents give all these little details about saying, I love you, good night, go to bed, blah, 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 we find out later that this is actually when they might be doing something really horrible to these kids, okay? Allegedly, all right? I'm not saying that he did or he didn't. I'm just saying that that's usually the case, is what we find out later. Now, on the astrology, when he's telling the police that he made them fried chicken, their favorite meal, and he's this loving, doting father, he's looking up rat poisoning on the computer, okay? So there's something very off with John, okay? And on an astrological level, when he says that he's doing all this loving things towards his children, to me, I'm looking at the astrology, and that doesn't match. This is when I think he loses it, and the boys are with their open enemy at this point in time, and there's rage and there's anger here, okay? Now, I'm not sure if they actually pass at this point. I'm still trying to narrow that down, but right here, they are in the presence, they are directly in front of the killer, the open enemy. If the boys were killed, they are in front of, with their enemy, because they're in the house that rules the enemy right now. Okay, because Mercury is the children, that's siblings, more than one. I have 3 boys. This is at 6 o'clock. when John is saying that they're having this lovely meal and everything's all hunky-dory, this is later we find out that he's Googling, rat poison, how to poison somebody. And when I look at the astrology here, I think the boys are in trouble. They are with their killer directly in front of. So I find that, very suspicious. Another thing is that we have Uranus and Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. 10th house rules your family as well, parts of your family. It can rule the mother, the 10th house. And Saturn can be the father. Jupiter can be a husband, and the sun can be a father or some type of authority figure. Capricorn can be restriction. Saturn can be restriction and some type of authority as well. So, I have Pluto in the house of the open enemy, which is the 7th house. I have Jupiter and Uranus, which is Jupiter is the actual open enemy to our victims in the sign of Pisces. So they believe something. They might be a little delusional at the same time. They may have lost something. They may have lost it because Pisces rules the 12th house, and that is endings and sorrows, but it also rules I believe. So they believed something, and Uranus is there conjunct, so even though there's a line separating them there, Jupiter is about blowing things up, and Uranus is unexpected events, okay? And you see those big red lines going down to Mars. Mars can also rule brothers as well, and that is next to Mercury, which Mercury is ruling siblings, more than one, usually rules smaller children. So I could have the two smaller children as Mercury, and possibly Mars being represented by the older brother. I mean, it is the male. Mars is the male symbol. Venus is the female symbol. I could look at it like that as well. So, Jupiter can rule travel. Jupiter it's in the 10th house. So was he worried about his reputation, his career? Now, once everything crosses, this is a stellium in the 10th house here. It's a bit crowded. And Uranus is just complete shock. Uranus and Jupiter is like over the top shock, over the top, blowing it up, an unexpected event and blowing it up, blowing it out of proportion. And then Mars there, with those red lines, those deep red lines on that one area of the chart, that is a lot of tension between these planets, okay? That's anger, that's rage. I have Neptune going down to Venus, which makes me think that, he believes something about Venus, and Neptune is in Aquarius, getting ready to cross the MC line into the 8th house of death. And, I really feel like once Neptune crosses over into the 8th house of death, he might really just give in to his delusions at that point. And the MC line on your natal chart, it's your reputation. It's, how people see you. He crosses a threshold. When those planets cross over that MC line, they're crossing over into the house of death. And then we have Juno down here in the 4th house at the bottom, being ruled by Virgo. Critical, over analytical Virgo. It's also an earth sign, and that's in the womb and in the tomb as well on a crime chart. So, Juno on your natal chart, not crime. Juno is usually very positive, but we have to remember that we're looking at Juno on a crime chart, and it just makes me think that there's relationship issues at the end of the matter. Relationship issues is a problem. And if you look at Capricorn, you see that little hook in the 8th house of death due to sharing parental, due to that little hook. It looks like a fish hook. That's Ceres. Okay. And she rules how you raise your children. And Capricorn is there, and there's a restriction. Capricorn can also rule the government, authority of some sort. So he had to share custody with her. He did not want to share custody with her, and it's in the house of death. So there's a restriction on custody. He did not want to share custody with her. He didn't want her to have anything with raising the children. Ceres is about motherhood and raising children, bringing in the harvest. It's a sickle. Because back in the old days, they used to bring in the harvest, okay, and bring in the sickle. So with Ceres being there in the 8th house of death, I have to look at it as he didn't want her to have anything, no parental rights, no access to being a mother at all. And it's in the 8th house of death. And Juno was not able to save anything. Usually Juno tries to heal relationships, but in this case, at the end of the matter, we have overcritical, overanalytical Virgo ruling the end of the matter. Also is ruled by Mercury. That Mercury is the lord of Virgo, and it's in the womb and in the tomb. They could be in Earth, and that they might be in a shallow grave as well, in a hilly area, because Saturn is in Libra. The other part is Vesta. And Vesta is in the house that rules your health. Also, the sun is there, which, could be an authority. And I have asteroid John there. And that's next to the sun. Pretty close. And Vesta is the life, your eternal flame. Your life force. So if you think about in the olden times, in the olden days, the fire hearth was the life of the home. It gave warmth and kept everyone alive. The hearth of the home. And it's the eternal flame of the home. It fed everybody. It kept everybody warm. Clean water. Kind of the same concept with Vesta. And it's directly affecting our victims' health. And then, the other thing that I find kind of just a sad chart for children, especially, is Hercules up at the top near Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith. Hercules did the unthinkable to his own children. He was manipulated because he truly believed something. He was manipulated and under the impression of something, and he did the unthinkable to his own children. Okay, he did murder his wife and his own children. And then he escaped to, I think he went to Delphi. Or he went to go see the Oracle, I believe. Okay, and this is the last one that I think is important, and then we'll talk about the trine and wrap it up, because I don't want to be on too late. I don't want to go past 30 minutes. So the other one is Tantalus, and that's next to Ceres. His story is kind of sick, okay? He's a father that thought that he knew more. He was the son of Zeus. As you all know, Zeus got around, okay? He had lots of children with many different women and horses and all kinds of stuff. He was crazy. These Greek mythology stories, you got to remember, they're gods. So they're not, you can't think of them as all human all the time, okay? So he wanted to basically outsmart the gods and his father, his own father, and he killed his own son and cooked him and put him in food and fed him to Zeus, the gods. And Tantalus was an idiot, okay? First of all, he was an idiot. He thought he could outsmart everyone, and he thought as a father, he's despicable, and he thought that he knew more than everyone else and that he was going to trick everyone. He wanted to trick everyone. Now, I have Tantalus showing up in the 8th house of death next to Ceres, who rules custody. Like, I can't make that up. That's pretty crazy. All right? So, Tantalus ended up, Zeus put him in punishment, and he has to starve for the rest of his life, and he's always going to be thirsty. He's never going to find happiness. He's never going to find peace. So, and he was a father that basically murdered his own child just to prove a point, a stupid point. And I find that interesting that he's showing up right next to Ceres, who rules sharing custody with children. And then I have that asteroid there that means a father that murdered his children to trick everyone and outsmart everyone because he knows best. And made the biggest mistake of his life. And he'll pay for it. He will suffer for that mistake for the rest of his life. And then we have the big trine, which is the huge triangle in the middle of the chart. You can't miss it. There's energy between these planets. One is the moon, which rules the safe place, the motherhood, the breast, the stomach. It's in the sign of Cancer. So again, that's family. I have the sun there, which is the vital life force, or it could also be a father or someone in control or an authority figure, going up to Jupiter, which is conjunct Uranus there. So, there's something about possibly mom and dad, possibly family issues, father issues. The moon can also rule the mother, and the sun can rule the father. So, and something blew up, something, and Jupiter is ruling my open enemy on this particular chart. Now, this is not the chart that I'm going to map out. I'm going to map out a different chart. But this chart seemed important to me at this time. That's why I'm picking this time apart, because I felt like it explained a lot. The day before, actually 2 days, I think, it's the day before these kids were reported missing, okay? So, and they were seen out playing in the yard earlier in the afternoon. So this is around dinner time, all right, that I'm seeing all this on the charts. Another thing to mention, I am seeing all this on the charts as well. This amount of energy all going to some type of overreaction, some type of delusion that they believed in a shocking event is at the apex of this big triangle on the chart. And then the 18 degrees are kind of a repetitive pattern. I have 18 degrees on my AC line. I have 18 degrees on my DC line. AC line rules the victims. DC line rules our killer, which means that the devil is in the detail. That our open enemy to our victims is the devil. It's a devil degree. It rules pure evil. That something evil is in front of these boys at 6 o'clock. The killer is the devil himself. So that's another thing that I wanted to tell you. All right, so this is what I have for now. This is probably not going to be the chart that I map out. I picked this chart because I really do feel like this is when things get hairy for these children. Right before, or yeah, it's really not good, okay? It doesn't look good. And so I'll probably map out a different time when, we're closer to the 911 call, okay? All right. Blessed be everyone. Take care of one another. Keep saying prayers for our victims. Bye-bye now.